Thanks for watching Jake 3D. Today I'm going to unbox the Asus Z170 Deluxe motherboard. Enjoy! Thanks for watching Jake 3D. Today, I'm going to unbox the Asus Z170 Deluxe motherboard. You got your standard cutout with a picture of your motherboard so that you can just verify that they didn't switch the motherboard or give you a returned or defective product here. And that's something you definitely want to check for every time you purchase a motherboard at a large store. From time to time, you will find the wrong motherboard in the wrong box, and that's not something that can be totally avoided. You just want to protect yourself ahead of time. It's a lot easier to check ahead of time than it is to explain why you're trying to return or exchange the wrong motherboard in the wrong box. So here is the motherboard. It's got 4 DIMM slots for memory for a total of up to 64 gigabytes of memory. They are fit in one side and clip on the opposite side. We have the Z170 chipset with the LGA 1151 socket. So that's going to be the i7 that's going to be the i7 Skylake 6700K or the i5 6600K. You can upgrade the BIOS on this motherboard for the new Kaby Lake. You can upgrade the BIOS on this motherboard to accept the new Kaby Lake processors, the 6700K, or sorry, the 7600K and the 7700K. So you can put the new i7s in here. You're not going to get some of the new features with the Z270 boards, but this is going to be good if I was just going to upgrade the processor. We'll see if that happens in the future here. On the board, you have the M.2 slot right here. You have your USB 3.0 and your 2 USB 2.0 and all your front panel connectors right here. It does actually have a power and reset button right on the motherboard, so you can do that without even plugging it into a case, just as long as you plug it into a power supply for testing purposes. You also got the comms clear and the BIOS flashback buttons right here, and that'd be very helpful when flashing the BIOS, especially if you did upgrade to the new Kaby Lake series, the 7700K, and the BIOS failed. That flashback would be very helpful. And you got the readout right here, so that if you're for posting, so that when you're testing it, you can actually make sure that it's working properly. It's got 3 PCIe 16X slots and 4 1X slots. Yeah, 1X slots. This has 6 PWM fan headers. You do have your standard CPU fan header, and you have a special water pump fan header. It should have a little bit extra amperage to output to the water pump if you're using a PWM controlled water pump. It also has 4 case fans, 1 here, 1 here, and 2 here. They're also PWM, but they also work as voltage controlled fans as well. For my favorite part. And now for the piece de resistance. That one was actually satisfying. The main reason that I picked this board is because the sheer number of USB ports on the I/O back here. It has 6 USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports, so they are 10 gigabit ports. You got the 1 Type C and the 5 Type A right there. There's another 3.0 head USB port here, and then you got a couple of USB 2 ports on here as well. And then of course you have the onboard sound, which is isolated, and dual gigabit Ethernet. You have an optical audio out, and it has built-in Wi-Fi with it. It does come with an antenna as well. And then you got your HDMI and DisplayPort right on the board here. So if you're going to use internal graphics, which you know, I don't know why you would do on a Z170 series, except for testing. That is going to be quite useful. And it does actually have two USB 3 front panel headers on here. So if I do upgrade to a better computer case, that'll be very useful. There's actually a 7th fan header on here as well. It's the CPU optional. If you have two CPU fans, like on a dual fan heatsink, or some additional support as well, and some additional sensor options that can be utilized with that additional fan header. Also be used as a case fan as well. You should be seeing some B-roll right now. The ATX power input is right here, and the CPU power, which is 2x4 or 8 pin, is right here for providing power to the CPU, especially for overclocking. It does have a marked operating system drive spot right here. Using a spot other than this one for the operating system can sometimes cause you issues, especially with speed, but even sometimes compatibility issues. So it has 8 SATA 6 gigabit, that's the SATA 3.0 ports on here. Two of them combine into SATA Express. I've never used one or seen one of those in a store, so that's very unlikely I'll be able to use it. The M.2 is right next to the SATA ports, and it does come with an accessory to make the M.2 into a U.2 drive as well. A U.2 drive with NVMe support. The VRMs do have a pretty nice heatsink on it, so even with low airflow, they should stay quite cool. And now for the accessories. You have your standard I/O shield. Now this right here, this is really nice. What this is it allows you to plug in all your front panel connectors, or at least most of them, right into this little adapter. And then once you got them all plugged in, and it is nicely marked, you can just plug this straight into the motherboard right here. And it is keyed, so you don't plug it in backwards. So it makes it much easier to plug everything in, since for some reason we haven't standardized that across all the motherboards, which is dumb. Now there is a flexible SLI bridge, because this is SLI compatible. CPU installation guide. So you just put the CPU in here, and then you close the CPU socket. Wholly unnecessary. M.2 mounting hardware. More M.2 mounting screws. This is the M.2 to U.2 accessory. You just put this in the M.2 slot or on the additional M.2 accessory, and that'll allow you to use a U.2 drive. This will plug into the PCIe 16X slot. It does use 4X. It is an additional M.2 connector, and I believe you can actually use the U.2 accessory with it as well. So you can use this one for the U.2 and the one on the board for the M.2 if you would prefer. This is the included antenna for the Wi-Fi, and it does have the 3 screw terminals on the back here on wires. It does come with 6 SATA data cables. One of these in each package has one end that is right angle, so it makes it pretty easy for installing in most cases. And then the good old user guide. Okay, so this also has a branded crystal sound on here, which is isolated sound, and it has some pretty good sound drivers in here. The network port, the Wi-Fi is also Bluetooth, so you get Bluetooth compatibility built right in with this. It does have a cheat sheet on the back. It does have a 5-way optimization. You can do overclocking with one touch very quickly. It's a good way to start. So you can use that and then dial in your voltage and CPU overclock manually. It also has a mem check OK button right here, which will tell you whether or not the memory is okay. And if you're having a boot failure or a posting failure, that makes diagnosing what's going on a lot easier, so you can rule out the memory right away. The M.2 does have NVMe support, so that you can use that right on here or on the card. The dual gigabit LAN on here is designed so that your gaming is going to have priority over other types of packets. What's called turbo LAN network optimization for no delay in gameplay. Theoretically, going to make gameplay less stuttery and less issues when doing online, especially large multiplayer online. And that is the Asus Z170 Deluxe motherboard. If you're looking to build a system, I've left a link in the description below for this motherboard, as well as a similar Z270 motherboard optimized for the Kaby chipset. If you like this unboxing and you're ready to see the full system build, go ahead and leave a like. As well, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Is this a good motherboard? Would you've chosen a different motherboard? Are you excited to see the full system build vlog? And as always, thanks for watching Jake 3D, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't you touch my computer.